This is the Chevy, right? That white Chevy you've been driving? Okay. We'll talk more about that in a sec. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us today for this very special edition of the Nerdstorm podcast. My name is Kyle. I am the host, and you can follow me at nspodcast_Kyle on Twitter. Joining me today is
David Sawyer. You can follow me at Grape as a Concept on Twitter.
And my name is Hayden Smith. You can follow me at nspodcast_heyho on Twitter.
I just love that name.
You can follow me at CatOnKeyboard on Twitter.com.
So the Nerdstorm podcast is a few friends joining together to talk about as much geeky nerdom as we can and have fun doing it. Welcome to our raid. So as the host, what brings me here, we're podcasting out of Utah. I've been in the video game world for 10 plus years as far as dealing with it hands-on. Been playing video games forever, it seems. I love video games, love comic books, anything that's got nerd behind its name, I absolutely love. Huge fan of Batman, love anything Batman. Don't start with me. Batman is amazing, will always be amazing. He trumps all. That's all that matters. But yeah, love geeky nerdum stuff. Huge World of Warcraft avid player. You'll hear a lot about that in this podcast for sure. Lots about video games, movies, anything that's popular culture we will talk about. David, what about you?
So I'm grew up in Utah. I've been into video games since I was born. Worked in the video game retail for a while. Have since transitioned out. But yeah, I've kind of always been into that to a more or less degree. And I've played more games than most. Yeah, that's pretty much me. Hayden, how'd you get here?
So I ended up in Utah, actually coming from Oregon. I'm studying video game production over at the University of Utah. I'm in the master's program, so that's a blast. So I'm actually learning how to make games, and hopefully I'll be in the video game industry in the future. So that's what brings me here. And as far as what I like to play, I love RPGs mostly. Mostly a console player, just now getting into the PC stuff. So, and I'm the youngest of the three here today, so I'm probably the furthest away from like 80s references and junk. But I try. I very much
go
try.
right over.
So how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 23. So
Kyle is
31.
I'm 31.
Yeah, so nearly a decade difference.
It's okay. We still love you, Hayden. It's all right.
Thank you, guys. Love you too.
So what have you guys been up to these last couple weeks?
You want to start with me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
well, I've started trying to get into Hearthstone. I've been terrible at that, and I needed something to do at my job, so I've been kind of dabbling in that. I realized, I'm terrible at this as it stands. So I decided, okay, well, I'll start with the story expansions, get Karazhan and Blackrock Depths, and the third one that I can't think of the name of, Explorers League.
Yeah.
The
League of Explorers.
Yeah. Which that was probably my favorite and the one that I haven't touched because I touched it, but not to the degree of the other ones.
Well, the other ones have humor, but I always thought that the League of Explorers, they just that's all they did was jam pack as much.
Yeah, there's
much of the funny as they possibly could.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the other ones I played without headphones in or any sound on because I'm in an industrial environment, very noisy. So I'll listen to a podcast at work while I'm playing that. But with League of Explorers, when I do those fights, I gotta have those plugged in to hear them for whatever reason. But anyway, the idea being I'll learn some cards here and try to get better at this. So I was goofing with that. We started we play on Xbox Live most nights. Well, not most nights, but a couple times a week. And our kind of circle of friends will do kind of whatever game we
So this is Ark Survival that you're talking about right now?
Well, what I mean is I'm leading into that.
Okay.
Don't rush me.
Spoil the ending.
Yeah, we played things on Xbox Live where we kind of base our console operations, but we've done Destiny, we've done Overwatch, probably go back to Overwatch, but we've been dabbling in Ark recently to try to try our hands at that, and so that's been amazing because
How does an unfinished product play?
garbage
Please,
is
detail.
actually the
Exactly
if I
as
were to
you
use a
think.
descriptive word, like it's real weird. Like it's not like you'd want to describe it like, okay, this is like Minecraft but with dinosaurs, but it's just not quite it. Like that just
I mean, I understand the concept behind it. You know, like you're essentially helping these developers make their game.
mhm,
I mean, it's a great way of helping developers that you're a fan of
mhm.
get their products, off the ground floor. My only problem with it is people buy these games like super early
Mhm.
and they don't realize that there's going to be problems or glitches and issues,
Mm-hmm.
and then they complain about it or have problems with it, or they're just bored of it by the time the game finally
Mm-hmm.
is like full fleshed out and ready to go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like they have like the WoW beta tests and whatnot for
Mhm.
like, and I got into. So the first game that I ever like did that with was like Lego Universe, was an MMO that came out forever ago,
Yeah.
and I played through like the starting. Like I played that just like nonstop while it was our development. When the game actually launched, I didn't want to play a second of it.
Yeah.
I just kind of poisoned that well for myself, and I've been very careful of that ever since. But with like Ark being like its own kind of like when I was looking at it, it felt more like, okay, this is like Minecraft. It's like, oh, this is endless fun, right? But anyway, like we got 4 or 5 of us in there one night.
5, I think,
Yeah.
was the most that we've had.
Just I don't know, like the freaking interface for that game. Understanding anything in there is kind of a chore. Like how hosting a game, like what's the difference between a dedicated and non-dedicated server. It's just very PC oriented, and there's not a lot of explanation given as to what you're trying to do there. It's like
do they have a development time on it? Like, are they getting close to being like released?
No idea.
Or
but they have released DLC.
wait, it's still in beta and
It's
it's
still
released DLC for
yes,
it?
not beta. No, this is early access.
Oh.
Beta implies some kind of milestone.
Well, I mean, the game is what? It's $30 typically.
It was going for 40 when
okay.
when I bought it. Like they had a sale recently where they dropped it out at 20.
Yep.
I believe the reason for that sale has been that they released this new downloadable content thing, and it's $20.
Okay.
And like that's kind of been a real issue with their forums on like I don't know, on the PC side. I don't really look at that stuff, but
Well, I mean, like,
it's
so
basically yeah, they've got an unfinished product that has many issues, especially on the consoles, and they're already releasing DLC for a game that doesn't.
it's still a little broken.
Yeah, that little is not
Well,
the correct term.
I'm just trying to be nice.
I'd be nice, but it's not. This is not a good move.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So what's the driving force for you guys to keep playing this then? 'Cause I know you guys
well,
play
it's
it
like,
pretty consistently right now.
we're still kind of. I'm trying to find really trying to find the fun there, I guess. But like the idea is like, okay, you're starting from nothing. I'm a dirt farmer. You can run out with my hands, pick some weeds for a while, then I go punch a tree for a while until I can craft a pickaxe, and then I'll use that to craft an axe. Now I can really chop trees, but
According to our resident Arc Master, things get a lot more fun, and we're just not to that part yet. It takes a couple more levels, and
like as you level up, like you get okay, here's some engram points. You can use those engram points to, like you decide like what are the patterns you're going to be able to build going forward.
Okay.
And so it's like, okay, well, do you want to build a pickaxe and a spear, or do you want some clothes because like you're getting cold, and that's going to be an issue. There's all kinds of fun meters to try to manage there. You get hungry just constantly if you don't adjust that stupid slider. But it's interesting in the way of like, okay, first off, you're just trying to survive and get that under control. And then as you progress forward, you're trying to go for the more luxury items, I guess if you want to call them that.
it's
But
survival Minecraft with dinosaurs.
yeah, but at the same time, it's not necessarily. I left when I was playing by myself because I had kind of loaded up my own map. Like things move very slow, like it's glacial paced. I mean,
Not a lot of action.
like Minecraft. You carve out a house and that takes you maybe less than 15 minutes, maybe 5. It depends how good you are at that. What you what kind of hole you decide you want to live in. But with this, it's like you need to craft walls and okay, you need a foundation to attach walls to, and you need a ceiling, you need doorways, and you need doors. Doorways and doors are different things, and so is the ceiling, so is the floor. They're not the same thing. So you have to learn, every separate pattern there, and then go collect those resources. It's like I built a thatch house that was just a 3x3 square that was it was 2 walls high and then had a ceiling, and that took multiple play sessions of more than 4 to 6 hours each. But yeah, like we got into with a bunch of friends and trying this out. Like we get together, and like as a community, we can gather a lot more resources, but it's just kind of like we just been experimenting like turning up sliders and stuff to kind of okay, here's an XP multiplier, here's you're harvesting more stuff, here's like things to kind of speed that experience along, because as it stands as a player versus environment game right now, it's just not fun.
It's so grindy to get anything done and to even stay alive. Like it's hard enough to progress while you're trying to stay alive. So that's what we've been playing with, is making it less grindy.
We've built a new settlement. We've got like one building that's built and a new house that's going up, and then like we got a raft now. But yeah, like it's still we're still trying to figure that game out, see if it's gonna be fun. Like we hope so, but man.
Lots of effort and work that needs to go on behind it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the bonus is at least the developers were kind of upfront and didn't just release a broken game.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we're still developing this game, but you can pay for it now and help us develop it, other than games like, Destiny or Diablo or Battlefield 4.
I guess my closing thought on that would be like, when you get into those things where it's like, okay, you're helping us kind of finish this game, like what I think that game should be and what I'm looking for in that game seems to be very different from what they're trying to build that game to be.
Okay.
And I think that has been a major source of frustration for all of us. But anyway, Hayden, what have you been doing?
So I've been playing Ark with you and the friends.
Wow.
That's been a blast.
You're that abomination running around chasing birds.
Yeah, the character creation in that game is amazing.
I had a nightmare about your character. I was in this classroom and like there was like this movie star there. It's like, yeah, he's right over there. It's like it was a tiny like baby, but he had the face, like that gigantic face of your character, and it was speaking.
This is Tootsie, right?
Tootsie, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tootsie is a character that was made with elephantitis in mind.
Yeah, elephantitis of the neck and shoulders specifically.
Yeah.
Every other part of him is a midget
tiny
and
arms,
small.
yeah.
But
tiny shoulders, just weird looking man, and it's fun to see him chasing.
I noticed that Hayden is a fan of making weird stuff, like his character on World of Warcraft, Diabetes.
Diabetes. Yeah. So I like to name my characters fun things. The reason why I named him Tootsie, though, is because he looks like a physical Tootsie Roll, if a Tootsie Roll was a person. Like his neck itself looks like a gargantuan Tootsie Roll. So that's why I named him Tootsie.
Nice.
So been playing that. We've been playing World of Warcraft, which I'm sure we will get to here in just a quick second. And then besides that, like I mentioned, I'm in the grad program, so we make a prototype for a game once every about 3 weeks. So I've already made one, and I'm in the process right now. We're about halfway through making a second one.
Tony Hawk Can Stalker?
No, Can Stalker.
Yeah. Remember that game I pitched to you? Tony Hawk stalking cans at a grocery store? Like, that's all I was doing. Like
Tony Hawk stocking cans at a grocery store?
Which, like, it's set up like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, where you're getting points for, like, the cans you stock, and, like, the cans actually have branding for like Tony Hawk on them. So like one of the tricks you can do is like turn the can over and see his picture there and kind of like move your thumb across it and sigh. And like that, you got like manual there as you sigh for a longer time, and then you put it on the shelf. But if you fail your manual, you drop the can.
See, I'm refraining from making this game until we are able to make it in VR, because I see this as a VR experience to be Tony Hawk stacking cans of Tony Hawk supplies.
Tony Hawk soup. Yeah, like they
Campbell's Tony Hawk soup.
Yeah, they got like the fun shapes of like Mario and
so it's like skateboards.
These are gonna look like skateboards and ramps and
just everything that's
skateboard wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it's
So it's just
Yeah.
it's pretty complicated. I think they've already got that shape though, so it's good.
Yeah. So yeah.
It's a good cost saving measure. I like it.
Yeah.
SpaghettiOs.
Save a
will
little bit of cost.
SpaghettiOs. But yeah, just doing that. I've been trying to finish up the Witcher DLC that came out a couple months ago that I'm super behind on.
I'm
But
so behind on Witcher. I love
Witcher's
that game though. That
it's so
game is
good.
so good.
It's the best. David, you
No, I don't.
stop. Just
You
play
want,
the
need to
third
play
do you want to know
Yeah.
why I don't play The Witcher?
I know why you don't play The Witcher.
It's because I have to play games with you guys. If I want to have my social gaming experience, I cannot fit that game into my schedule. It's the same with Fallout 4. I'd love to be playing those two
Well, it
games.
sounds like you could probably cut Arc out. So if you cut Arc out, you'll have plenty of time for
Nah.
Witcher.
Now, Ark is a
Not
social
to
game.
mention, like, what time do you get home from work again? Like midnight,
Just
1
cut off
o'clock in the
World of
morning.
Warcraft.
Sometimes midnight, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, just say it. You can make time for Witcher 3. Trust me.
And okay, here's the thing: it's like I'm also trying to gear myself in World of Warcraft, and if I want to be part of a raid group, gotta dedicate some time to that.
Which actually starts this Wednesday. You guys are ready.
I'm not. Nope.
What's the required eye level?
I don't know. I actually haven't looked at that.
It's probably like
I'm 832.
8:30 or something.
I'm sure it's 8:30 or something like that.
Yeah.
I just
Which
barely
isn't
squeaked-
too bad, to be
I
honest.
just barely squeaked in.
I'm in the high 800s.
Class stuff, buy your class stuff. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, go
some of
ahead.
the stuff that I've been doing, of course, I had a pretty major conference that I was at this last week, where I was able to actually test some of the upcoming cool stuff. You guys want me to tell you about some of it?
No,
You don't want to hear about any of it?
no, I want to see it when it comes out.
No, David can plug his ears because
You tell me about it a little bit.
I'm interested.
Like,
little bit.
I was
Piqued
able
my
to
interest.
play
Kind of the
Resident Evil
cool
7
stuff.
with VR.
That's not cool. Something else.
Oh, yeah. Scared the poop out of me. So they have new, like,
Sounds like
have you
you're
guys seen the
incontinent.
new trailer by chance?
Mhm.
For the Okay, so new Resident Evil 7 trailer, they're showing off this family. Okay,
Are they
and
running
they're
around shooting or
100%
just
psychotic. So there's a part in this VR like demo that you play. You have the demo headset in. You're a guy that's like literally strapped to a chair. You can't do anything. Okay, other than watch all this crap just kind of play out. They're throwing food in your face, treating you like garbage, and then the lady just comes out, takes a knife, and stabs you right in the leg, and you're like you expect to kind of feel that pain, and of course you're not feeling anything, but the whole experience was pretty trippy. And I've always been under the impression that like if I ever tried VR that it wouldn't really pull me in. Like I always was like, oh, I'm gonna know it's VR. Like this isn't going to do something where it pulls me in and I'm gonna I'm gonna be completely immersed like people say. I'm actually super surprised. You get super immersed the moment that you're able to turn your head left and right and you're just seeing what's supposed to be in that video game world on your left and right. It's pretty bizarre.
How's the sound?
The sound's good. I think that's really going to have to do with more of the headset that you choose to use, to be honest. The VR system that they had Resident Evil 7 running on was the PlayStation VR. So by default, Sony's using their new Platinum headset that they just announced a couple weeks ago at their event. But sound quality was good. Like it wasn't too bad. Like it still felt like I was there. I couldn't hear. Like I'm at a conference where there's tons of people playing other games. I couldn't hear that stuff, so it did pull me in. But they also had us like in this big box type thing. That way, it kind of drowned out a lot more of the sound, so it wouldn't hit us too much.
Sound is so important to
Yeah.
VR.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Well, yes. Like I'm pretty sure that's probably gonna be the biggest problem that most people have is the sound quality. If they're not using a decent enough headset, it's not gonna work for them. But aside from that, I actually got a hands-on demo with Final Fantasy 15 as well. I'm actually really excited for that game. I was a little worried. One, the pushes always worry me.
Pushes?
I know that they're the pushing the date as far as like development time goes.
Mhm.
Like I know what the reason why they're pushing it is because they want more development time with it. They want to make sure that it's polished
Well,
and
they've said,
well-rounded
like,
and
this is kind of
get it
the,
put out.
if this one is not successful, they're kind of going to abandon the Final Fantasy brand
Yeah,
because
and
it's just not making the money they need.
and
to.
I don't think they're going to disappoint. I
do.
like so, and this is why I'm saying this. When they made one of their last big pushes as far as when that game was coming out, right around the time of game we were just talking about called Witcher 3. And I'm pretty sure that they were trying to attempt something equally as good as Witcher 3. And then when Witcher 3 came out, like, shit. this game is amazing, and the quality of our game is nowhere near it. And they pushed the game over a year at that point. So I think that that's kind of what they're going for, because the Final Fantasy franchise has already been going into like that Western RPG type feel, whether it's Elder Scrolls or Witcher. They want more of that because those games have been more popular recently than the JRPGs have.
I find it strange that you say that, because to me they've never felt more Japanese. And I say this because, like, okay, like,
is that because of the art style?
Yes.
And the music and
so
the
like,
pictures?
well,
Yeah.
like we're
But-
like minusing the art style though, the games, they're no longer turn based. They're all action.
minusing
They're all
the
action.
thing that I look
adventure,
at on the screen.
hack and slash games.
The thing that that's the thing. I am not interested in Final Fantasy. Is it 15 at
Yeah.
all?
Uh-huh.
Like, it just looks more metrosexual Japanese men. Great.
Well, I mean, I think you're always going to have that, but I think they're trying to gear more towards what
Here's the
the
thing.
Western audience will buy, because that is their number one consumer. The Western audience is the number one consumer,
Then-
not Asia, but the Western audience, and that's
Then
what
they
they have to
need
gear
to realize that we're not into metrosexual Japanese people. Like, it's just I every time
People
I see
have
it,
people have an art style, and if that's all,
Yes.
if the
and they
developers
haven't
that they
had
have,
that for like 4 games now. Like,
Yeah.
that's been like my biggest issue. Like, Final Fantasy X was the last major one that I got into. I never finished that game because it's so freaking enormous. But like 7, 8,
Final
and
Fantasy
9,
15 will be worse for you then.
like 9 was like the one that I played the crap out of. Like, that's one of the ones occupied a special place in my heart.
Yeah,
But-
that one has more like anime type look to
No,
it than
there's a
any of the games,
definite
in my
like there's
opinion.
there's a definite art style to it. Like, you can make this argument for 15 as well, but like the clothing design and like the city design of like those kind of steampunk before it was steampunk, you know?
Well, I think with Final Fantasy 9 they went with more of like a cartoony type anime style, where
Yeah,
with
but-
Final Fantasy 15 you have more of like the realistic
But
anime
like when
style.
you get into that,
I mean, have you seen the way those people dress in Japan? Like the way people dress in Japan and stuff like that. They dress exactly the way that they're showing them in Final Fantasy 15.
I know it's
They-
still bad.
I mean, I'm just saying
It's
that's
cultural difference.
That's the cultural
And
difference.
for a
that we
game that
have.
you're aiming at a Western audience, why are you doing this?
Well, I mean, one, it's got the Final Fantasy brand on it, so people by default
And that
are going
means
to buy
nothing
it.
anymore.
But no, people will still buy it.
Bad people,
No,
people that should know better.
people will still buy it, and then
Weeaboos.
not to mention is that they are
Do they
trying
have
to
blue hair?
kind of push more of the Final Fantasy
Blue hair, green hair,
into
Pink
the
hair.
Western RPG
They have
area.
pink hair.
I don't have pink hair.
Everybody just has black hair in this one.
No, not the.
No, one has
Whoa,
blonde.
whoa.
One has blonde.
Don't talk crazy.
Yeah,
I'm not
one's
talking
got
about
blonde,
the people in
one's
game.
got more of like a dirty blonde-esque type look to
I'm
them,
not
and then
talking
the other
about
two have black
in-game
hair.
people. I'm talking about the people buying the game.
Oh, people that are buying the game?
Yes.
I don't know what color
Blue hair,
they're
pink
in.
hair. Yep.
No, like
Weeaboos.
Yeah.
That's your target audience.
yeah. Anyway, the game played it played really well. Like, it played like a Western RPG. It didn't feel like the standard Final Fantasy game that we're used to playing, which I think is probably going to be a nice breath of fresh air for certain people. There will be those people. What did you call them?
Weeaboos.
I think the weeaboos are the ones that are going to hate that
It's
game.
dumb Japanophile is basically what.
So those are the people that are going to hate that game because it's going to play nothing like what they're used to playing. So what was the other game that I was talking about that I played? I just lose my train of thought.
Sorry.
Good job. Good job.
Sorry.
I didn't want to talk about Final Fantasy the entire time.
But I hate it so much.
Anyway, so World of Warcraft, I mean, that's really all I've been playing lately. Legion is by far one of the best expansions I've played, and I've been playing since the beginning. It is great. I'm having a lot of fun with it. There is so much to do, it's ridiculous.
So do you want me to do this like an interview?
Of work to do.
Can we try to structure this for you? Cal, what class do you play?
I play a hunter. I've been playing a hunter since the
A
beginning.
what hunter?
A night elf hunter?
No. Specialization.
Oh, marksman. Yeah, marksman.
Okay. I mentioned this because it's specifically like that decides Larzak what path you're taking in this, like.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah, like, so to kind of break Legion down, they've done away with like normal weapon drops from like things that you kill. You have what they call an artifact weapon, and with that artifact weapon, you're going to develop that over the time of the expansion, and it's going to grow stronger as you're playing the game. Not only that, but the lore that that you're playing through most of the game is actually based around what that weapon does for you. So depending on what specialization you choose from your class will determine on what weapon you get, some of the lore choices that you get, some of the experiences you're going to have in that game. And that's phenomenal because it's really kind of brought the whole lore of the game around your class instead of around a specific person, like what we're used to.
It's making it more dynamic.
I would kind of argue that because it's more the class hall is like your over the course of the events that bring you into that class hall, they set you up as like, hey man, you're the best we've ever seen at what you do. And what you do ain't pretty. But like basically you're recognized as like, okay, we recognize, okay, remember that dragon you killed a couple years back? That was kind of crazy stuff. And then all that crap going down in Pandaria, that was nuts. We remember you were in all that crap. And then, man, that Draenor stuff, sure crazy. Man, you did a solid job over there. Like, you're all right. Maybe you are the guy that should be taking this 40,000-year-old artifact weapon and kind of leading our cause here. We believe in you.
And see, I think that's cool. They're basing it around your character finally, and I think that's kind of the thing that's the driving force of this expansion for sure.
It's kind of the story element that's kind of separated WoW from, well, not necessarily separated, but like that's seems to be the angle that Blizzard's run with, like with Warcraft as compared to other MMOs, where it's like you're a cog in the machine, man. Like you need to beat these guys, or they're doing bad stuff. But like you're a nobody. You're not a name.
They barely reference your character the entire time you're playing through it. No, this time around they're referencing like.
Thank you, Baldur. There's a lot. And I return to your dirt farming.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to do, and you are the center and focal point of everything that happens in that universe, which is definitely what has brought me, I guess, more deeper into the lore. Like, I've always loved the Warcraft lore, but this time around, like, I'm reading every quest.
Yeah,
I am not just passing through it, hit and ignore, just accepting quests and moving on. I'm actually reading the quests. Insignificant quests I'm reading, which is insane.
There's no such thing as insignificant quests in World of Warcraft.
Not in Legion for sure.
Yeah, catching the foxes that are eating the foxtail plants.
That's
important, man.
Yeah, us herbalists gotta know what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you about.
I would say that there are definitely things in Cataclysm, and there are definitely things in Warlords of Draenor you could completely ignore.
Sure,
you could. I've always been the person that I read all that quest text.
Mm-hmm.
I read the item text.
Yeah.
You know, if you get
the item text this time around in Legion's been amazing too.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been to High Mountain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So up the hill, just behind Thunder Totem, there's a tent, and there's 3 people in there.
Oh,
there's the
male
Tauren, the female Tauren, and the paladin that walks out. And like when you walk up to it the first time, it triggers it where he just walks out and goes, "That was weird." So the thing about it is, you might pick up a steamy romance novel called Got Milk later on. Have you found this yet?
I have.
Yeah,
I've read the novel.
Yeah, and you realize after you read that that was the aftermath of that book, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's a whole, there's pages and pages of this story where it's just, I'm not going to spoil it because I think it is just a really good piece of humor in that game, but reading the thing and realizing so I'm playing 2 hunters at the same time. I've got an Alliance side and a Horde side. The Alliance side I'm doing as Marksman, the Horde side I'm doing as Beast Mastery. But me and my sister started in High Mountain and on the Horde side and the Alliance side, I started in where did I start? Val'sharah. But yeah, seeing that a second time, going having found that book already and going back oh, I get it. This is
Well, there's so many little unexplained storylines that have been in at least this and the last expansion of WoW. That just are the tiniest little things, but when you see it, you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I think we were talking about it before. When you go into the Halls of Valor dungeon, and at the end, you get to fight Odin, and he's got 4 guys standing in front of you, and I had noticed that the names of those guys were the 4 kings that were mentioned by the end boss of Utgard Pinnacle when it runs over.
Yeah.
Haldor of the Rocky Cliffs.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's that's actually the coolest part is that everything seems to be getting a bit more cohesive as far as like the lore of that game. Instead of it feeling like you have this expansion, it's only about this. You have this expansion, it's only about this. We finally get to Legion where they're like, okay, so all of this stuff that's happened has kind of led up to this point, and everything is going to kind of mesh together. Like, we're going to understand why a lot of things are happening. Like, they're bringing a lot of the Wrath of Lich King stuff in with like the Death Knights. The Death Knights still a lot with that, with their artifact weapons, right? And that to me is really cool. And then on top of that, we're dealing with all the Valkyrians, so we're getting all the Wrath of Lich King lore from that too. And then a lot of the like old god stuff from that. That's probably been one of the best parts about this game is that just everything seems to be really cohesive.
So I've got 11 level 100s on the Horde side, and I've got 3 on the Alliance side. Well, this is level 100 and above. So on the Horde side, I've done the intro quests to like get your artifact weapons, just to see like each different one, like kind of pick and choose like what do I want to do here. And like for the Death Knight, when you go in there as Frost, and you're like getting the pieces of
the shards of
Frostmourne.
Yeah,
like that was super cool.
Yeah, it was so cool.
So if you go in as a mage, you can choose to get Fellow Malorn, which was Kael'thas's weapon, a real storied like Iron Thorn. But like going in and like there was lore for each side of those. Like I'm still an Ice Crown. I'm still like Lich King is still like talking to me the whole time. I'm like these
are like some of the first words uttered by Bolvar since he put on the helmet.
I think that it's still Arthas' voice actor, actually, because the voice...
It could be.
The voicing of it, like, he has... It just sounds like the exact same thing.
I mean, it's probably
you got to remember...
You got Ner'zhul, too.
Like, you have a couple of different minds inside of the Lich King's head.
Yeah.
Like, he's no longer...
Bolvar or Arthas or
Ner'zhul. He's the Lich King.
Yeah.
Well... So it would make sense that the Lich King's voice would be the same. Because, I mean, we've heard Arthas' voice before he became the Lich King, and the Lich King doesn't sound anything like Arthas.
But this Lich King seems to be more Bolvar than Lich King, if that makes sense.
I mean, the personalities sort of all kind of get meshed together.
But so he's still... I mean, he's still telling you, like... He seems to be on your side to like the way the narrative takes place there.
So the way I would discuss that though is like when you deal with Bolvar, he was uncorruptible, right?
Okay, so to pause you right here, I didn't ever deal with Bolvar.
Yeah.
My introduction to World of Warcraft, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, that one game.
I got in at Cataclysm. Like, I had played a little bit in old WoW, but like, I got a level 13 Tauren warrior named They Call Me Sir. And that was as far as he ever went. Like, when I got back in, I tried to get in a Burn Crusade, and my computer couldn't run it at the time. And so, like, by the time I got back in at Cataclysm, they had changed the structure of Battle.net. So, like, I couldn't even recover those characters or that, like, what I was using there, so I had to start it fresh. I couldn't remember that stuff. Like, it was just so... Like, they changed, like, I'll be under your name and, like, type of that, which is a great way to do things. Like, it fixes the issues that they were having at the time of, like, okay, well, everybody's going to get Smurf accounts and StarCraft and stuff because it's so easy to do this stuff. So, like, maybe let's not do this anymore. Like, let's tie these to a singular account and, like, give you a reason to care about that. And, you know, as with many things, I think Blizzard succeeded in that aspect of it. But, back to the point, came in Cataclysm where, like, all of a sudden, like, all this stuff that, you know, I remember seeing, like, certain things. Like, I remember, like, trying to, I'm level 13 as a Tauren. Like, okay, well, there's a dungeon we need to do because you're ready level 10 here. Like, you need to get up to Orgrimmar so we can do Ragefire Chasm. How do I get there? Well, you gotta, like, he's telling me, like, you gotta go up to the crossroads and keep running. And, like, you're trying to get up to, okay, well, I've never seen this world before. Like, running through the crossroads. I remember, like, there's a dude sitting in the business end of the catapult eating his lunch. I was just a player, like, he's just sitting in that thing, like, eating. I was like, that's hilarious, man. That guy's crazy. Doesn't he know it's a catapult? It's crazy. Anyway, I'm on my way to Orgrimmar. But just running for minutes, like, and going from Southern Barrens to the Northern Barrens. You don't do that anymore on foot.
No.
Deathwing had his way with that place.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, he did.
But yeah, like I don't know, that just, I quested through, that was my introduction to Warcraft, like, was questing through those zones that had been now revamped to be very different from what they were for.
Which is infinitely better than the way it was when I played through the game, because a lot of those quests you had, like, took you from one zone to another zone to another zone to another zone, and some of that stuff was happening at low level, which just, it made no sense, like, to make a person run that far. All it did was, it was just time wasting. That's all that was.
And moving quests to, like, okay, here's a dungeon quest over here. I remember talking on another podcast I listened to, like, hey, there's a guy in Ironforge that wants you to run this specific dungeon, but you have to go talk to him to get that quest. And it wasn't even like, he wasn't even flagged for a quest. You had to go talk to him and open a dialogue box, and then you could get the quest from him.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, well, how would you know?
yeah, exactly. Like,
and now it's come to, like, all the quest givers are standing inside the door of the dungeon or
that
outside.
was their way of having little secret things, like secret things that you wouldn't know unless you actually explored the game. Yeah, where they're doing that now with Legion. But it's
in a
not
much better way.
It's in a way better way. Like it's not much of a quest. Like, and I mean, to talk about the dungeon quests, like, I mean, eventually they ended up putting them in the dungeons, which made things infinitely easier. But I mean, as far as talking about Legion, though, I would say this is probably near perfect. I think this is the best version of World of Warcraft that we've ever had. Everything feels great. It gives you. You still have the simplicity of the talent system, but now you have the artifact weapon where you have traits that you have to worry about. And which direction do you want to go with your traits in order to get specific key abilities, or even not even get those key abilities, the key specific traits? Because some of those traits are like detrimental. So
like, I don't need this right now. Like, I'll probably want that later. But
and
like,
it's
right now,
more like how you choose to play them. Like, because like, for instance, if you're more of a PvP player, they're like, for the hunter, for instance. You have the new turtle aspect that you can use. It was that replaced deterrence. There's actually the ability where it heals you, and the more points you put into that trait, the more heal that you're going to get from that when you have that up, instead of it just deterring the abilities hitting you.
And the thing about that is, like, that's a really excellent example, because again, I'm playing a Horde side hunter and an Alliance side hunter. Alliance side, I'm playing a Draenei. Horde side, I'm playing a Blood Elf. So I'm playing the same class, you know, like, but they are drastically different just based on, like, those two decisions.
Yeah.
My Beast Mastery Hunter that I used to do, like, I do solo raids with, like, I was constantly trying to push, like, what can I do solo with this character? Because the survivability was so high. I would do Beast Mastery. Like, we figured out you could solo, like, Tempest Keep as long as you had the Stampede ability. Because, there was a mind control mechanic there that would screw with it. But if you had your Stampede out, when he went to blow that, he would usually try to blow it on one of your animals, and it would screw it up. But anyway, or he would pop it on you, and your animals would come and attack you, and you had enough time, because they were out, to you'd start beating on them, and they would fade, and you could go back and still kill him.
Yeah.
But anyway, like, now my Beast Mastery Hunter does not have the survivability that the Marksman Hunter has. Like, I still have the Exhilaration self-heal that I can pop, every so often, but my Draenei Hunter has that Gift of the Nehru that heals over time, and the Exhilaration, and the aspect of the turtle that heals as well. Whereas, like, I don't believe the Beast Mastery Hunter gets the healing effect of Turtle Shell aspect of the turtle. I think we can use it.
Is that a trait specifically towards
it is to
the
marksman.
bow? Interesting.
But the other thing is, like, there's also one of the talents you can get for marksman is that camouflage, and you can spec it so the camouflage heals you.
Yeah.
Which is also amazing.
Yes.
So I'm really hard to kill as that stupid hunter. I'm doing stupid things that shouldn't work, and it's, they do, and people, the world's busy enough now, like, where you're doing these dumb things, like, people are taking notes, like, what is that guy doing? He's going to die, and then they don't, and then, okay, it ends up attracting people. We're like, okay, you're doing the roller quest over here, and I see you pulling 6 guys at a time, So I'm going to help you out with this because I notice you're not dying and you seem to know what you're doing. And then in turn, like my survivability is now increased because there's one more moron that's deciding to shoot the guys I'm shooting at.
Yeah.
But
yeah, no, it's that is actually so that kind of goes back to like the prior patch before the expansion came out. I thought that the hunters were broken.
Yes,
because they were dying so
but
quickly.
The second you get that artifact weapon, it completes. It's that one missing piece of your puzzle.
Yeah,
and now everything makes sense.
Everything makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't feel broken anymore. Yeah, which is the same way I felt about the shaman, like the enhancement shaman. They died so quickly, but once you got your artifact weapon, you were pretty much good to go. Yeah, everything was pretty solid. But I mean, like as far as like me specifically, my favorite stuff definitely the artifact weapon. The world quests that they've introduced with Legion have been amazing because not only does it add extra lore to what you're doing to the game, it's probably been the best way that I've had to grind rep in any expansion.
And it's also, when you say to somebody like, okay, man, you just did this gigantic slog through 10 levels, like you had to work at these stupid levels, like the last thing you want to do is go back into this dumb zone that you've spent 14 hours in just I hated Val'Sharah just because of what happened there. Like, it's a gorgeous zone, but like there's a couple things that are just like I don't have the ability to differentiate my experience from like the story and like like what.
See, and I loved it. It was sad, but I loved it. Like I loved the experience. I thought the directions. Some of these directions they've taken with this game have been astronomical. Like you'd say, holy crap, I can't believe you just did that. Like this is stuff that happens, like I don't know, like people watching TV like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. They're like, I can't believe you just killed that person, or I can't believe this just happened. Like there's a lot of that happening in World of Warcraft right now, and it makes you wonder like what is the end game?
The equivalent of like video game page turn. Like what am I like? I need to start finishing this quest because stuff is crazy right now. I need some closure here.
Well, I think they learned a lot from Warlords of Draenor because at least general consensus that I got is that most people were kind of disappointed with Warlords of Draenor. It sort of was an odd side story that not a whole lot got accomplished, and you sort of felt
Zero
like
got accomplished because you were doing everything in an opposite timeline.
We got Gul'dan
I mean, I guess Gul'dan was able to travel into like our actual timeline.
Well, there's a couple key points, but most of the time, most of the time that you're spending in that expansion, you're not really doing anything important.
Forever. That's where he was. He was in Outland.
Was he there in Burning Crusade?
Uh-huh.
There's a character you go see that says, "Hi, my name is Khadgar.
Yeah,
I'm doing stuff."
So originally, when you play Burning Crusade, his NPC model was completely different back then. He was like this old dude that was bald that had just like a long white beard.
Well, because he was supposed to have been like aged a lot, right, by a curse.
Yeah, he's been aged a lot by a curse. But anyway, so when the first time you go to Shattrath City, there's you talk to Khadgar, and he gives you a tour around Shattrath City, explaining to you like what's been going on.
That's him
during the Burning Crusade. And you know how the little arcane anomaly thing that you follow around and everything? That's his arcane anomaly thing that you're following around. Like that's Khadgar right there. So I mean, we got a few things out of Warlords, but there were things missing. Like one, they took the social aspect away completely with the garrison. They did. And they recognized that, and they understood that. I know that there were things that they attempted to do to force people to play with each other within their garrison, like the invasions and stuff like that. But you could only do that for so long before you were done with it.
I got one invasion, and that was it.
Yeah.
And like
really?
Yeah.
I've gotten like 7. I've gotten almost all of them. Like one more.
I really wanted to do the invasion stuff, but I didn't understand what was triggering it. You know, there's the way I play these games ends up being kind of very different than other people. Like you do a lot of dungeons, right? It's like I still haven't done 2 of the dungeons now.
Really?
Yeah.
Like that's the moment I always get to max level, the first thing I do is jump into dungeons. But that's due to the fact that I'm always trying to get the best gear. That way I can start raiding as soon as possible.
And see, I'm exploring, trying to have fun.
But as far as like I said, my key takeaways with Legion so far have been great. There's not a whole lot of negative that I can say about this expansion right now. We are still in the beginning of it. They also said there won't be any more content droughts like we've had in the past. I mean, they're already PTRing 7.1, and that has a whole unique mythic dungeon that's Karazhan.
Karazhan.
That
Say it right.
no.
Get your words right.
Nope.
Karazhan.
Prove it.
Hearthstone.
Prove it.
Hearthstone.
Prove it.
Hearth and
Prove it.
home.
That's all I gotta say.
Hearthstone.
You haven't proved it yet.
Mag Theridin.
I'll agree with the Meg Theridin part though. But what specific points in Legion have you enjoyed though? Like so far? Like just key the key things that you like for me, the artifact weapons, the world quests, even the dungeons have been amazing.
The thing with like the world quest that I was getting at was like the idea of like, okay, I've finished my level grind here, you know, in Warlords and everything else. Like, I don't want to go back there. But like all of a sudden, it's like, oh, if I go back there, do that one like bonus objective that I did a while back, that's kind of, you know, less tedious than what it was. I can get myself a pair of 830 gloves, and that's probably better than what's going to drop out of a dungeon right now. I need to get my butt to Valshara right now.
Yeah.
You know, like there's, if I go over there, they've got a you know, mining quest for like, I can get 20 fell slate just for popping over there. Like I have to work to get 20 fell slate, you know, like, and it's the kind of thing, all of a sudden, I don't care where I'm going because I can see right there, like, hey dude, like, you like fell slate? we got some over here. And all of a sudden, like, I'm going back to these places that I, you know, may have had negative experiences with, or just, you know, a sense of fatigue from that zone. I don't get that from High Mountain. High Mountain's maybe. Should always go back to High Mountain.
See, that's the one place that I didn't like.
You're dumb.
I hate the mountain. I hate the mountain. Like the fact that I always always feel like I have to go around it. It's 420 all day long.
But then that also leads into the improvements that they've had in game design, where they can have, like, you two are very similar on many issues, but on this particular one, you hate Valshara, you love Valshara, and David likes High Mountain, and Kyle doesn't like High Mountain.
It's not that I don't like it, and I don't hate it. It's more
You
of
don't like fun. We've already established.
there's a lot of cool humor in High Mountain that I've enjoyed, but I don't like the mountain. Like, I don't like that
don't
big,
like the hill part?
huge, mountain that's in my way, and I always feel like I'm never in the right spot when I need to be.
So I switched to engineering for Legion.
Mm-hmm.
On my Alliance Hunter. My Horde Hunter is a tailor and a leatherworker, Skinner. But they've got specific profession quests that unlock as you go through there. One of the things for mining is the best miner is on top of High Mountain. He's a Tauren up there. There's a clan of Tauren up there that are super into just banging at rocks all day long. And you have to climb that mountain and find that dude. And like that was like getting up there was an adventure. Like I thought that was, you know, amazing. And I talking to him, learning his story, and like his ancestor was apparently like the best miner that ever was. Like he's got all these great techniques. Like you find a chunk of his horn up there. Like, but yeah, like that was one of the things that really stood out to me was that. I'm going there for that. But I think a larger conversation for World of Warcraft is the fact that like they say a lot of developers play World of Warcraft. Like it's one of those things like everybody is involved with. A lot of ideas get like Blizzard ends up tackling a lot of the larger issues in other games, you know, and to not pay attention to that is folly. You know, like you know, when Destiny was having issues of like the way their gameplay was working out, like what they look at, who do they talk to? Like it's
Well, of course they would talk to Blizzard.
yeah,
And it's easy for them right now because it's in-house.
mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's true. Blizzard does do that. You look at the way World of Warcraft's developed now, and look at all the stuff that they've added to it, just with Legion. A lot of that stuff's already been going on with Diablo
mm-hmm.
for a really long time now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the world quest structure is all built around the structure that they've had in Diablo.
For the adventure mode.
For a while now.
I understand that. I can definitely see
No,
that.
it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
why not put something in there that, you know,
mm-hmm.
doesn't work? Like it works. It's something that improves the value.
And even in those cases, it's not like a one-for-one system transfer. It's like it's a refined version of what those other games had. You know, like and the same thing with like you make the same argument for Overwatch. Like there's a level system in there where you know, I go from level 1 down to level 2, I get a loot box.
Yeah.
Level 3, I get a loot box. But I can prestige there, but that prestige system is very different from Call of Duty.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, I hate this prestige system in Call of Duty, but in Overwatch, I think it's great. Why is that? I guess because they've done a very unique take on it.
Yeah. What about your takes, Aiden? Like, what are your takes from Legion? What's the key point, the key things that you enjoyed so far?
So, I mean, again, the biggest difference I think is that they did take Warlords of Draenor and a bunch of other games as learning points on which to make this one.
Mm-hmm.
So the entire class or garrison, what do they call it? Class
order?
Order Hall. All the Order Hall stuff is essentially the exact same thing as garrisons, except you have a lot less followers and the quests take a lot more time. And you don't have like all these crazy things that you're
But
getting.
they seem to matter much more because of it.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
actually get some more important things to help upgrade your artifact weapon and your other followers and stuff. And so they make it feel more important because there's less of them. And the entire expansion isn't super oriented toward them.
Yeah.
So they've really narrowed down, I guess, what players find the fun in a lot better. So definitely those. And
But
then
it also seems to be,
quests.
they use that stuff as a nice palate cleanser, you know, where it's like, okay, I've been questing out here for forever. And I'm 102 now. Like, they want me back at the Order Hall. What's going on here? Something totally different that's going to take me, a couple hours to finish this line.
Well, it's also like you also have something else to do when you go back to your quest givers now too. It's
But
not just a zone where you have to go and
It's not like I'm not. It doesn't feel like I'm jumping back into like. I go from like, okay, I just finished Val'sharah. Oh, they want me to the Order Hall. Now I go do stuff at the Order Hall. And when I come out of that quest, I'm ready to go back into one of the other zones to try out like what's going on there. Like, I need to get back to getting creation, man. This is important stuff. We need to get going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so definitely the refinement on a lot of their stuff is just so on point in this expansion.
Well, I know we could talk about World of Warcraft like all day.
Yes. Yes, we could.
And the entire podcast could take up World of Warcraft time. But I do want to get on to a more important thing that's been going on in the gaming community. And a couple weeks ago, Sony made some announcements on some new consoles.
Woo, no Sony, they can't do wrong.
Well, that's what the video game world thought, is that Sony could no longer do any wrong. They learned from all of their mistakes, and that everything's going to be perfect. So the two things they announced, the two big things they announced, two consoles. They announced the PlayStation 4 Slim with the price drop on it, which was pretty cool. That was a really nice announcement. And then they announced the PlayStation 4 Pro, which is the one thing that we've been hearing leaks about for it's been like a little over a year now, like with the PlayStation 4
like developers,
Yeah.
Conference last year.
Yeah, it was something like that.
What do they call that?
GDC?
That
GDC.
one.
Yeah,
The
Game
Game
Developers
Developer Conference that you just said it. Yeah.
I left out the game part.
The game is the most important part of that sentence.
Oh.
Yeah, this is true. So with this announcement, they said specifically what the console was going to do. What the console is going to do is it's going to do 4K streaming. Do 4K streaming for both Netflix and Amazon, and that's all they said that it would do 4K streaming for. They said that they are developing specific apps that are specifically geared towards PlayStation 4 Pro. The other thing that they brought up is the fact that it will up-convert certain games to 4K. That's one of the key words right there, up-convert.
Is that a word?
So, I mean, that's what they said.
Did they ask President Bush for clarification on what upconvert means? Upscale?
I tweeted him.
Yeah, they're going to upscale it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to upscale the games to 4K. So here's the issue the game community's having.
I didn't mean to be making fun of you right there.
No, you're fine.
That sounded to me like you were...
No,
that is a word that somebody
yeah.
was saying. Like, that's...
No, that's... like
Business term.
So... With what Sony announced, and what Microsoft has already announced, it kind of sounds like the Project Scorpio is not going to be converting anything. That everything is just going to run in 4K. That's what they announced. Not only that, but the PlayStation 4 Pro doesn't have a 4K Blu-ray player in it.
Yeah. So...
Which is a
Super
company
useful.
that kind of owns the technology, and they're not going... Well, I mean, they still built the technology. It's not like, hey, we don't have any, Blu-ray 4K players lying around that we can put into these systems. That seems like a weird decision to me. And I don't know if they did it just so they could cut costs a little bit somewhere. That way they could keep the system a tad bit lower, because we don't know what's going to happen to Scorpio. We don't know all of the the stuff behind it. We know about the teraflops.
Lots of teraflops.
Yeah.
Plenty of teraflops.
Yep. We know that it's going to run and play in 4K because the Xbox One Slim is already doing that, which is another weird thing. The Xbox One Slim starts at, it's $300?
So that or $350.
Yeah,
I don't know
$300 for the 500 gigabyte and then $350 for the 1 terabyte.
Right.
And how much is the Slim PS4 doing? Does the Slim
PS4.
I was not aware that there was a Slim PS4.
Yeah.
Because there was a difference between the Slim PS4
and the PS4 Pro.
Yeah.
There is.
The
PS4 Slim doesn't bring anything else new to the table. It actually took something away. It took out the optical port. There's no optical port on the PlayStation 4 Slim.
That makes you
it does drop power usage by 30%, is what they said.
Which is pretty good.
It's not much slimmer.
Just taking out that optical port drops power usage by 30%?
I guess so.
Man, I need to get rid of mine on the Xbox.
With the PlayStation 4 size and the PlayStation 4 Slim size, it's not much of a difference in size, to be honest. And the PS4 is already pretty small as is. I didn't think that it was going to get much smaller. I figured they would do the power thing. The power thing would be limited. It wouldn't require so much power to run, which is kind of a good thing, because that means your system will probably last longer because of that. But when Microsoft, they announced their Slim back at E3, their Slim 4K stream with both Hulu and Netflix. Those are the only ones that, or not Hulu and Netflix, but Netflix and Amazon. Those are the only ones they announced as well. And that it will have a 4K Blu-ray player in there too. So the Slim
One of the main features of the Slim Xbox was if you dropped it, it would now only break 3 of your 5 toes instead of all 5.
Plus, you wouldn't be dropping. The power brick itself is also built into the console, so you have to take the weight of the power brick into consideration as well.
Yeah.
So like 3.5 toes.
The other thing is they upped the RAM in the Xbox One Slim, which is one of the main issues that the Xbox One had competing with the PlayStation 4. Yeah. I mean, if you have a Slim now, it's no longer has, it's had. The Xbox One Slim performs just as well as the PS4 now, and it actually does more.
To cast some light on this,
because it does 4K streaming and it does the 4K Blu-ray player.
To cast some light on this, like, we all have an Xbox One and a PS4, and we've all seen like the both operating systems running, both playing games, and like, you know, the PS4, while beautiful in its simplicity, and like it just kind of works. Like Microsoft's machine, like, even though it does a lot of things, like it can get real chuggy at times, and it seems that there's been times where like it, whether due to internet connection stability or maybe this is related to RAM, like it just decides like, well, we're going to drop support for certain features for a while here while like we try to catch up. Yeah. And that can kind of extend to party chat for a lot of times. Like we had major issues playing Destiny, like when that was going big, like we into raids certain nights and all of a sudden party chat had cut out and we have to switch to game chat, and it was, you know, spotty at best. Like it just, we definitely had a couple raids that had to stop, you know, because we just can't communicate over the internet like normal people.
Well, there's still so much wrong with the software that's in the hardware, right? And it seems like they're sort of going more like, hey, here's new hardware. We're still not really going to deal with some of the underlying problems that just make our system
I think they're just still trying to figure them out. It's the same. They had a lot of the same hiccups when the Xbox 360 came out. Sure. Like the difference is that we had 10 years to see that improvement. You know what I mean? Like we've only had these systems for 3 years now.
But at the same time, like you're looking at features and you're like, I mean, as a consumer, you look at that and go like, well, the Xbox just worked for all these things, and all of a sudden the Xbox One.
The one thing we got to remember though is that we're looking at a whole new piece of hardware. You know what I mean? Like there's new technology put into it, new hardware. They also took headsets and party chat into consideration.
These are 3-year-old consoles at this point.
Well, yeah.
And we had an issue the other night playing Ark where like the party chat wasn't working, so we had to use the game chat. And that was super fun.
And then that didn't work very well either.
Well, like
so
it was based on proximity. We found out like you can join a tribe. So we are now all members of the tribe of Tootsie. And if you're in the same tribe, you can hear each other anywhere. But if you're not, as you're wandering around, like you can just walk out of a player player's range and you won't hear them talking. So like
that's interesting.
That's fun.
I mean, that's kind of cool. That I guess that's trying to be immersive as much as possible.
It
It has
is,
to a little
but
bit,
at the same time, like it doesn't. That game does not do a good job again of conveying what is happening here.
Yeah.
like it just
Like you have to try and kind of figure it out yourself.
yeah, like it's see forum for details.
But I mean, as far as that, I think a lot of this stuff will get fixed. You know, a lot of the issues that they've had with the Xbox One is a RAM shortage, and with the Xbox One Slim, we won't have that problem anymore. I think the issue that the nerd world is having right now, like the rage that's going online right now, is that we all thought that Sony couldn't do any wrong at this point. Like everybody was like, Sony's doing
Not
perfect
me.
and following the steps that they need to follow to make everybody happy. They've learned from their mistakes, and then they make this announcement where everybody they fell short. They actually fell short this time. It almost felt like
oh wait,
their
we're
E3 reveal of
These
the
are the
PlayStation
same
3
guys
where they
that did
said,
the PS3.
"Oh, well you can get 2 jobs, you know, you can get 2 jobs and it'll help you pay for this console." And it's like, really? Like, and they're handling it the same way. It doesn't feel like they're handling it the way they would have when Microsoft was screwing up. When Microsoft was just one individual person, this whole company is thinking the exact same thing right now. And this is a point in time that Sony shouldn't be doing this, because Sony, the PlayStation portion of Sony, is the only thing
Yes.
that is actually getting them money.
the good ship.
If they screw
Sony
up,
is full of a lot of holes.
yeah, if they screw up, Sony might falter. The last time this happened, I remember Sony talking about dividing as far as that they were going to have to, otherwise we wouldn't have PlayStation anymore. We wouldn't be getting the games on the PlayStation anymore.
And there's already been conversations about, you know, like we need to be Sony as a corporation needs to be firing on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Their game group needs to be doing like, you know, seeing okay, the TV group and the, you know, the Blu-ray group or whoever's handling this stuff. Like if they have the tech to be doing 4K Blu-ray, doesn't that need to be in the machine that they're putting in front of, you know, 90% of their consumers? Like they're
Well, see, and that's the problem. Like, they want people to buy this, but if people know that Scorpio is coming out next year, it's like, oh, if I just wait, I get a console that's going to give me better quality and graphics. It's going to have the 4K Blu-ray player in there. It's going to have the 4K streaming. Why do I need to buy a PlayStation 4 Pro? The PlayStation 4 Pro, the only difference is that it's got a 1 terabyte hard drive, and that it can supposedly make my games possibly look better in 4K. But that's if the developer wants to do it. That's the other issue that it has. Where with the Xbox One Slim, it can already do all that stuff at a cheaper price point. Because a 500 gig is only $300, and then the 1 terabyte is $350. The PlayStation 4 Pro is $400.
how much can I get a Wii U for today, actually?
How much?
Sound investment there, David.
$300.
Whoa.
Yeah, it still hasn't dropped in price.
All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Nintendo.
I don't understand that, and we'll get to Nintendo in a second, because I do want to take just a few minutes to talk about Nintendo.
What is the price point of the PS4 Slim now?
The PlayStation
Yeah.
4 Slim is $300. So
Okay,
you're
so
looking at a $100 difference between the Slim and the PlayStation 4 Pro.
What about the difference between that and an Xbox One Slim? Does the PS4 Slim come with a 1 terabyte hard drive, or is it also?
It's a 500 gig.
So they're pretty much the same thing, but
It's the exact same thing.
And then I
So
think
that,
that
and
is
then
still,
and then that's where the problem is detailing now.
Right.
falling on
Xbox,
four
the
parts.
Xbox One is now starting to outperform the PlayStation, and the whole reason why everybody went to PlayStation 4 was because it was outperforming what Microsoft could do with their Xbox One Slim or their Xbox One.
so they're kind of
Now the
following-
Slim is starting to do now Microsoft's doing the exact opposite. They're starting to outperform Sony at a quicker rate and at a cheaper price point.
So Sony might not do so well in these next two.
Because
systems that are
even
coming out.
if you say the Xbox One Slim 1 terabyte is $350, the PlayStation 4 Pro, which does all the exact same things that the Xbox One Slim does, 1 terabyte, is an extra $50.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
So pretend for a moment that the Scorpio comes out, and I mean, I plan on getting one of those because it sounds like that does have a lot of benefits that I would like to take advantage of.
Yeah, because the Xbox One Slim, it just has the 4K stuff.
I've already got 2 Xbox Ones
Yeah.
because I had to have that one Halo edition. That was really important. But the anyway, like let's assume like the Microsoft doesn't have as much egg on their face as they did before. Whereas now, Sony's looking real bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because we have the company has changed leadership. Sony has since their original announcement, and probably since their plan had started for where the PS4 direction was going to go. Now that we have this new leadership in there, their PS4 is kind of taking a little bit of a different direction.
And the Xbox is doing the
with the
exact
Xbox
opposite.
One, they got new leadership right at the beginning of the Xbox One,
where they realized
and
hey,
got
our
Phil
message is
Spencer in there.
wrong.
And Phil Spencer, all he does is listen to the community.
Which is
Like-
the best thing he can do for a guy in his position.
Listening to interviews with
exactly.
that guy, he just gets it.
So at the conference I went to, I got to meet him and talk to him,
That's
and
so cool.
I wanted to. Trust me, I was like, dude, you understand gamers. This is the best thing
Shake his
that
hand. Thanks.
I've ever seen this company, the direction this company's taken, even since the original Xbox. Microsoft has done a lot of pivotal things for the video game community, but I think Phil Spencer has done more in the last 3 years with what Microsoft has to offer than that company has in the 15 plus years that it's been around. And I know people are going to disagree with me because, what about Xbox Live? That was a huge deal. Yeah, that was a huge deal, but inevitably we were going to get there. That was something that would inevitably happen. The difference is Phil Spencer's actually taken a company that is this huge corporate, conglomerate and telling look, we need to listen to our consumers. If we don't listen to our consumers, they're not going to buy our stuff.
Back to my question though. So this landscape now makes the Scorpio look appealing. So the question now is okay, down the road, does Sony announce another console?
Oh my god. There's
so I actually, as we've been talking, I thought about that.
Yeah.
So the way these companies are planning on taking the direction of the consoles from here on out is that we're no longer in a console generation cycle anymore. Everything that will come out from here on out will work against anything that is made. Okay, so for instance, when Microsoft announced all of their stuff at E3, they called it the Xbox One ecosystem. So all controllers that you have will work across any of the Xbox One platforms. Any of the games that get made for the Scorpio will work for the Xbox One Slim, will work for the original Xbox One, or any future Xbox One consoles that come out. So it is kind of like a PC structure. Every few years we'll see another console, but it won't be a console generation. Graphics won't change so dramatically that they have to make a new piece of hardware fully in order to make the games work. Not only that, but now this actually gives the developers the ability to it makes it easier for them to develop stuff. We won't have things like the Batman Arkham Knight issue with PC anymore. What the companies will start doing is they'll start building it for PC and then just have to downscale it to work on whatever console needs to work for. The hope is that the Scorpio will be powerful enough that it won't have to be downscaled. You'll be able to play it at the same quality that one of the top-end PCs are playing at.
So it's sort of getting down to where the hardware is becoming an iteration of itself over and over again.
Similar
sort of
to
like
the
what they
way
do with
cell
software.
phones are. Yeah.
Cell phones and
Yes,
software.
and it's funny you bring that up. At the press conference that Sony had a couple weeks ago, that's exactly what they said.
Yeah.
That people were willing to buy this stuff every couple of years now because that's the model that the cell phone community is built.
The thing about that I would bring up is I don't think we're in that yet because it is being tested as we speak. That is the reality of what.
It is. It is being tested. But the one thing to note about this, okay?
Well, my point on that is I want to say
they're already seeing tons of reservations on both the Slim, PlayStation 4.
But there's early adopters do that.
But Microsoft sold out of the 2 terabyte limited edition Xbox One Slim within a week. So my thing, the only thing to note is what they're doing is working right now. Now we'll have to wait and see when the Scorpio gets announced, and then maybe Sony does have something up their sleeve. Maybe the PlayStation 4 Pro is not the Neo. Maybe the PlayStation 4 Pro is, hey, we're not going to have the Neo ready. Why don't we release this that will be half of what we're going to release
or revise the Neo software-wise which I don't think they can do, to be more appealing to a consumer.
Well, here's the problem: is that because the systems are at such a high price point, and even though there is things like the cell phone market, where people will still go out and buy like a $700 iPhone right off the start of the market. At least from working in retail, I learned that anytime that there's a new system announced, there's going to be, 1 out of every 10 people that come in, they're like, oh, there's already a new system? Yeah, it's been 10 years, but yes, there is already a new system. So I feel like if Sony were to come out with the Slim this year, the Pro next year, and then say the Neo the year after that, it's going to anger a lot of people.
See, but the Pro is coming out this year as well. Comes out November 10th.
Okay.
And see, this is the kind of thing I was worried about.
They still haven't announced too much.
Is Sony pissing the water for this kind of
iteration technique? Yeah.
I mean, I kind of, because at least with Microsoft, they announced the Scorpio is coming out a year later.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like they were more upfront about what their project plans were. That way, if somebody decided, I don't need a Slim, I can wait for the Scorpio.
Yeah, I think that was a very good idea.
As far as retail goes, the way I'm understanding it is they're kind of discussing it with people in the ways like, hey, do you have a 4K TV? Well, no, I do not. Well, then you don't need to upgrade yet. Wait for the Scorpio. Get a 4K TV and wait for the Scorpio. Like, you don't need a Slim right now because your original Xbox One will do everything that the Slim does currently.
Do I need a 4K TV for the Scorpio? That's another question.
I mean, I don't know if you'll need one. They haven't specified whether or not you'll need a 4K TV. To get the quality that the system would give you, you would need a 4K TV. But if anything, you'll want a TV that at least has HDR, the high dynamic range.
Oh, please make people have that by now.
Because the Xbox One Slim has it. Yeah,
do I have that on my TV?
How old is your TV?
I bought it when Halo 3 came out.
Yes, you do not have that.
Yeah, you don't have it.
You need a new TV.
You need a new TV.
Halo 3 came out 2007. It's been 9 years.
This TV has it, that TV does not. But that's because that TV is cheap. But anyway, to get back to point,
your computer monitor might. To
get the quality that you would want from the Scorpio, you would want to get a nicer TV. If you didn't have the nicer TV, to be honest, you probably don't need the Scorpio either.
Yeah, what's the point? If you're willing to spend that much money on a console,
because Microsoft
and you don't have a TV that can play it.
Well, I understand that for you. I mean, you could buy it and just have this really expensive Xbox One system
hooked up to a $250 TV.
That TV was about $1,000.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking specifically about your TV, David. I'm just talking about
a TV that might cost me that right now.
Sure. I don't even know if a TV like that would cost $250. Probably cheaper at this point.
Maybe
next year.
Maybe.
I'm just feeling what I want you guys to say to me.
I mean, as far as that, Microsoft has definitely kind of turned the tables, and Sony, I don't know if it was directly or indirectly, they've kind of hurt themselves, and it's upset a lot of consumers. But as far as my last point, where does that put Nintendo, though? We still have yet to hear anything about the NX. Tokyo Game Show is literally happening right now, and they have not announced anything. They haven't announced a press conference. They haven't said anything about when they're going to be making this announcement. This console's supposed to be out in spring.
Yeah.
We're kind of running out of time for you guys to announce this console. Do you think that we're going to get an announcement this year? Or do you think they're going to announce it a month out before the console releases?
I really hate the lack of transparency in certain companies.
Well,
certain companies.
Nintendo's always kind of been this way. With the Wii U, they announced it 3 months before the launch date. So, let's say spring. If we're saying late spring, okay? What we're talking, beginning of May, right?
Yep.
So, they announced it in February?
I mean, they like anything that they announce to feel like it's a surprise birthday party for their consumers. Hey, look at this thing.
I can understand that aspect of it,
but not into technology race of today. It doesn't really work.
No, they.
But my other question, is this scaring Nintendo, watching Microsoft and Sony kind of do this?
Probably.
Where we're going to be seeing a new console? Nintendo can't afford that.
No.
Where Microsoft and Sony have the ability, well, Sony can't really afford it either, but they're doing it anyway. Where Microsoft can at least make these chances, Nintendo can't come out with a new console every couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've had a 5-year cycle for the Wii U.
Yeah, which is about a normal cycle anyway.
Not in today's market. That doesn't. a normal console cycle has been defined by the Xbox 360 and the PS3 now.
But the problem was that actually hurt the video game industry. Having that long of a cycle.
I would argue that. Because what it did, the Xbox 360 and the PS3 saw massive influx for people that were actually playing video games. You could argue that the Wii attributed to that as well by pulling in people that weren't playing, but Call of Duty,
casual games.
Well, no. I'm not saying the Xbox 360 and PS3 in the beginning didn't help produce the video game industry, but there at the tail end, those last couple of years, the video game industry was at its worst. Those last couple of years, until the Xbox One and PS4 were announced, the video game industry was at an all-time low.
But at the same time, you saw record highs for that year, for that generation as well, with Call of Duty posting record numbers year after year after year. And that's more people playing video games than ever were.
Mm-hmm.
And Nintendo wasn't really a part of that because of the way they've structured their stuff before. And the question is, have they truly
learned?
Yeah, learned. Nintendo seems to think they exist in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm.
And while you can say that in some cases they do, largely they do not.
Yeah.
And if they want to be competitive in these marketplaces, it's time to wake up. You have to be paying attention.
They probably are scared. To answer your question, they're probably very scared. So, especially with all these companies now, if the NX isn't 4K compatible 3 years from now, the developers that want to make games in 4K that then have to scale them down, well, it's not super difficult. They're not really going to want to have to tailor their games again to a Nintendo console.
Yeah. I mean, that's constantly the issue with Nintendo is they always have to have a whole development team made just to make games for them.
Again, they're in the vacuum.
The Wii U is, a testament to that failing.
Yeah.
That cannot be how they do things going forward.
Yeah.
You can't require that of third parties, and they're not going to do it. And that's, you can say your system's a success. The Wii was, but there's got to be something else there. You have to have you have to be, we're all on the same basketball court here. You have to, and you got to realize that. You're not playing horse over there. You're still playing the big game.
So to kind of bring this to a close, there's just one more thing I want to bring up about Nintendo. This was kind of at the tail end of the week. Nintendo, I think it's Nintendo's website in France. They dropped there was a little bit of details that were accidentally leaked to that website.
Oh, cool.
What was leaked was the amiibo figures for the new Legend of Zelda game.
Oh, not that cool.
Coming out in April 7th. So we've all speculated that when the new Legend of Zelda releases, that's when the NX will release too, because it will release simultaneously on both consoles, right? And it would be smart for Nintendo to do, because people who have not picked up a Wii U yet will probably just go for the NX.
Yeah.
And it will generate more console sales on our NX like that, right? So April 7th is when an anticipated, possibly, release of the new Legend of Zelda game. And if that's the case, like I said, as far as speculatory...
So this was based on the expected release of these amiibo figures?
Yes.
Did they show these amiibo figures? What did we get about these things?
So they didn't have any actual pictures. What it was a bit of coding in the actual website that people found. So it was something that they're probably building up to. We may actually be, who knows, at the beginning of the week, maybe Nintendo will say we have a Nintendo Direct coming up, and we'll be talking about the NX finally.
We'll be talking about the new color of 3DS you can buy.
That too. But
it's like space, like all our favorite space games we make, but we're not going to brand it like that.
But it'll be interesting to see exactly what happens. I mean, that's just a couple of months away. If the NX does come out, that's only a couple weeks from E3. That's, I'm assuming, when Microsoft will actually officially unveil Scorpio, as far as what it's going to look like and everything that it's going to be able to do. So it'll be interesting to see what the game community will be like over the next 6 months or so.
So is that April 7th date also the release? Have they announced the release date of the new Zelda game yet?
They haven't.
Okay.
So that's why a lot of people are like, oh, well, if the amiibos are coming out around that time, that's got to be like, why would they release the amiibos before the actual game?
Build hype, bro.
Yeah. Put it
I mean,
in your
it's true.
Smash
They
for,
could
like,
build
a
hype.
week and-
Like I said, all of this stuff is just speculation. Like, nobody knows for sure because Nintendo hasn't specified, yes, this is the date for Legend of Zelda. But I think that's why they're holding back on the date for Legend of Zelda, is because that's the date for the NX.
So
And until they
excited to
officially announce
stick
the
these
NX.
circles on stuff and have things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, they most, if they're waiting on Legend of Zelda to announce the release date for their console, they might also be waiting to be certain that that's the date that they want to publish the game on.
Yeah.
Because for a lot of development stuff, you can't always pin down a right date, especially when it's a
I
year,
know.
6 months in
So-
advance.
I didn't play it at the conference I was at, but I did get to they did have tons of demos there for the new Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, I heard it's good.
This game is very fine-tuned. Like, I was super surprised in what
One
they
of
had
the
to
motion
present.
controls that I do to flip my bird around.
You don't have to do any motion controls this time
Oh,
around,
It's not
sir.
Star Fox.
It actually
Yeah.
pretends like it's a bird and knows how to fly. That'd be neat.
As far as I know, there's no bird you're actually flying, just Epona. You're just
Oh.
riding Epona in
Riding
it.
a horse and the horse knows how to walk.
Yep, horse knows how to
I don't have
walk.
to like motion control its
Nope.
feet like Quap or
Each
something.
individual legs. That'd
Yeah.
be so fun, though, actually. Mini games.
Octo horse.
But I think the game's actually done. I really do think that
Yes.
game's done.
Mhm.
I think they're holding back because they want to make sure, like, let's say this April 7th date's real. They want to make sure it can launch that day.
Yeah.
They don't want to do Nintendo Direct until they know for sure that the hardware is ready to launch that day.
So, and they,
And with that website already putting that stuff on there, that tells me that they're closer to making a decision of when it's coming out.
now they've also changed hands very recently with the death of their president, right?
Satoru Iwata.
Yeah.
Iwata. And hopefully, whoever's in charge now or going to be in charge when that releases
So
has been learning.
this guy that is running it, he
Yeah.
actually has saved the company. He's the one that, like, he came with the idea for the 3DS.
Cool. Okay.
He's the reason why that company is still afloat.
He's got some chops behind him, but he's very much
He still
he's
has a lot of that old Japanese type mentality.
He's a placeholder. Like he's not the guy that they want leading.
Really?
He's the guy. Like he's
He never wanted to lead.
he's their clutch
Okay.
player. Like he's not.
They
the
talked
face
about
of the
him
company.
leading before, like before Iwata. They talked about him leading before, and he said no.
They want somebody that's young that has a face that they could like. Iwata was like appearing on the Nintendo Direction and stuff. Like he's a very likable guy, and he's very difficult to replace. And this guy is very much in place as, you know, he's the guy that is preparing the way for the next guy. That he's, you know,
Yeah. He's temporary.
he doesn't want to be. He's going to return to his old duties, and he's the caretaker. He's not.
Yeah, he's really good at his
He's
job.
the regent
though.
lord. He is
Yeah,
not the
like
king.
when they chose him, it didn't surprise me.
My-
Like I was actually kind of impressed.
well, the point that I'm
It was the
getting
right
to
direction to take.
is that, like, even if Nintendo's console ends up being, all well and good, and the new Legend of Zelda is, spectacular, they've still always had the problem of product shortage. So there's not enough units of the game on the shelves, and there's not enough consoles in the back room to actually sell to people. So my biggest hope, at least for this new console,
To be
no
honest,
matter what
though,
it is, I hope that they learn from their past mistakes.
The Wii U was not hard to get right around Christmas time. The
True.
initial launch, it was difficult, as David and I both know, but when it got closer to Christmas, it was not hard to find a Wii U. Like, you could find them everywhere.
I'm more talking about,
It's
like,
never been hard to
amiibos.
find a Wii U,
Yeah.
and that's been a testament to the popularity of that console.
Yeah. But I'm more talking about, like, amiibos. Like, those have always sold.
See,
like,
to be honest,
3DSs.
with something
3DSs
like
are
that was a new product that Nintendo really never dealt with.
Yeah.
I think if they had the ability to do it over again, it would have been done differently. They would have made sure they had enough products to sell. My issue is software. I think they rely too much on reservations. The issue that Nintendo has is that they always expect things will sell. But they still take a look at reservations too highly.
Yeah.
They need to make sure that they're still producing enough products to take care of it. Like, for the most part, they're big, like AAA titles, like Mario and Legend of Zelda and stuff like that.
Fire Emblem.
You never really have a hard time finding them, but like, no, games like Fire
No,
Emblem,
Fire Emblem was hard to find.
like the last two were not. Awakening, though,
The old Castlevanias
It's
were
still
like that.
like-
yeah,
right?
like it
Buy
was
week
almost
one.
impossible to find. Yeah.
By the way, I found some of the Senran Kagura games are super high up in price, like the older ones.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
They're like $160 for something. a new copy, like whoa.
Yeah, it's stupid ridiculous.
Yeah, like the older Castlevanias, like they would ship, like reservations and then a few more, and like that was the only run. And so if you didn't get them, like they ended up becoming a collector's item.
But I do think Nintendo will be careful about how much product they ship, to be honest, with the NX, because of the same issues they have with the Wii U. They won't want to overproduce because they're worried that it won't sell well enough. They'll wait for the initial sales. If they feel as if the initial sales were good enough, then they'll go ahead and make sure that everybody's provided with enough consoles to sell. But I think that will bring the podcast to an end today.
Okay, I'm done. I don't want to talk about video games anymore.
Thanks for joining us today, being a part of our raid. It was awesome experience for all of us. This was our first one.
Yeah, we'll learn from this wipe.
We will learn from this wipe for sure. If you want to join us further, you can always follow us at ns_podcast on Twitter, or follow us on either of our individual Twitters. Thank you again.
We'll run down those individual Twitters one more time. Kyle?
I'm at ns_podcast_Kyle.
I'm David. I'm at Grape as a Concept.
And I am Hayden, and I am at NSPodcast_Haydo.
Hey ho.
Hey ho.
I can't remember your own Twitter name.
To be fair, I came up with it like 10 minutes before we started this.
Yeah.
So.
Good plan. Is there? We have an email that you can send questions to if you wish.
Yeah.
That email is.
Yes, the email is nerdstormpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, and hopefully in the future we will also have a Reddit page where more people can post even more questions.
Yes.
And besides that, follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook. And if you've navigated here, you're probably on our YouTube page. Keep updated with YouTube. Subscribe if you want.
Right. The other things like text us with, or not text us, but email us with suggestions for like what you'd want to see in a possible future stream.
Please do.
That's it. Yeah. We're learning still.
Okay.
Bear with us.
Bye.